Thank you for joining us. Tonight is all about Iowa. We have been all about Iowa for quite a while, and we are still about Iowa because it's really, really crucial, and you will hear all about why. The first thing I want to do is thank our co-hosts, our ambassadors for tonight. We cannot do these fundraisers without all of you. We just depend on you to invite your networks, and this is the list of people who have helped. So thank you very much. Oh, there it is. Thank you one and all. Okay, so tonight I just want to tell you a story that some of you are familiar with, others are not, but even if you're familiar with it, I think you like this story because it's a very happy story and it helps fuel us year after year. It is the story of another state legislative race back in 2017. 31st Street was in its infancy. We had about 350 members by the end of the year, and we had decided to practice being a grassroots group by helping to elect Virginia state candidates to the legislature that year. We were practicing for 2018 when we were determined to get the House back. Our little group researched candidates. It was really the first template for what Jim Shelton and our team leaders do today and have done for the last 10 years. We met several of the candidates in Virginia. One was a teacher, another a Democratic socialist. I recall he had very bad teeth, which worried us. A Latina woman, an Asian American woman. They were all just regular people who had never been in politics, but then we had never been in politics. We were baby activists. We were not overly impressed with the candidates' resumes or their polish, but we were blown away by their determination, their hopefulness, their earnestness, and their can-do attitude. We threw ourselves into fundraising and knocking doors, and Jim Shelton at one point found out that one candidate, Kelly Fowler in Virginia Beach, was about to fold up her tent. She had run out of money. We put out a plea to our members and quickly raised $3,800. Not a huge amount, but it was crucial. Kelly paid her rent and stayed in the race, and she won in November. On election night, about 15 of us gathered in Adele Dari's home. Adele is still one of our leadership team. And we hoped that the Dems would flip 11 or 12 seats. That would have been a very respectable showing. But Jim had pushed us to support more reach candidates than we might have because he and our team felt, what the hell, let's go for broke and try to elect as many Dems as we can. We watched as the returns came in right on our laptops. We had these big, huge paper flip charts and markers, and we were checking off our candidates as we saw the returns, just hoping that some of them would be elected. And one after the other of our wonderful candidates won. The Asian woman won, the Latina woman won, the guy with the bad teeth won, the first trans woman in a Virginia elected office won. The Dems ultimately flipped 15 seats. Not quite enough to gain a majority, but that was accomplished in 2019. But what I remember was we were so euphoric. We were eating our pizza, we were toasting with our wine glasses, and we could just not believe that in Adele's little kitchen, we had helped make historic political achievement happen. We were borrowing from Hamilton for a minute. In the room where it happened, we just felt like we were part of history. And here we are almost 10 years later, and we are basically doing it again. Jim and the leadership team has picked an amazing slate of candidates in Iowa this time. Candidates that may not have had the funding to keep a campaign going if it weren't for grassroots groups like us. Because big money donors, PACs, they're looking for the marquee candidates like Ossoff and Tallarico. But we, in this Zoom room, you, are the real infrastructure of the effort to protect our democracy. You are funding the ground game. And it's the ground game that will help us experience euphoria on November 3rd, 2026, when we gain seats we barely dared to hope for, when we feel thrilled to have stretched. And I'm going to go on the record here, we'll be thrilled to have won. We are still in the room where it's happening. This is it. And we hope you will stay with us right here. And now, Jim Shelton.
Wow, great. Yeah, that's a great lead in. And again, I'm Jim Shelton, political analyst, and I'm going to show some slides that I think follow on to that. So let's try that. Okay, I believe people can see that and hear me okay.
Yep.
So here's our obligatory principles. And just for some of you who are maybe new to what we do, we really use these, and a lot of these principles will come through tonight. We like to be really strategic. We're in the game to win, and we look for opportunities that other people are not, not taking those opportunities, relating to what Lisa was just saying. So I'll start with sort of the macro, which is even though our country is in a mess politically, in terms of the political system, we're actually in great shape. And I'll just run through some of the reasons. People know Trump's polling is abysmal, declining, and basically getting more so every day, including across key voting groups, youth, people of color, independents, etc. And we have a lot more intensity of motivation, and that shows up in a lot of the elections we've had, special elections, primaries, and so forth. Well, it's really true, and it's polling, of course. And we have great candidates at all levels, and we're really grateful for them, for what they do, because it's not easy to run for office. And we, in the grassroots and in many parts of our ecosystem, are far, far better organized than we were in 2017 and get better every year. So I'm convinced, and I spend all day looking at evidence and various corners, and I'm convinced we're not just going to have a blue wave, we're going to have a really strong blue wave, maybe even a super blue wave. And I think that part of the problem that we have is that there are you can overreach and you can underreach. And I think there are too many people, unfortunately, that are under reaching too many. And we need to really reach out more because the evidence is there. And it's the only way we are going to win in the way we want to. So you're all here because of Iowa, and many people here are from Iowa. And we've been saying Iowa is the crossroads for 2026. So we have the U.S. Senate candidate now, Josh Turk. We have three terrific House candidates in the bottom row here, and a great governor candidate. And by the way, other statewide offices like Attorney General and Agriculture Secretary and so forth. So one of the virtues of what we do is that we really believe that by having and strengthening the legislature candidates, we're not only helping the legislature complexion, but when they're out knocking doors or they're doing their social media or they're doing their town halls or whatever, that's going to turn out more Democrats. And I'm convinced dollar for dollar, it's even better than contributing to these marquee candidates. All right, so just to give you a little bit of context, for a bit of time now, we've been calling this All In for Iowa. This is now the fifth thing that we're doing in terms of Iowa in this cycle. We supported Iowa's Farmers Union, the Main Street Alliance, for social media, the Iowa Creator Corps. We have something else where we're doing an accountability campaign against Ashley Hinson, who's the Republican candidate for Senate. And the piece de resistance is that our 12 House candidates, and these things are interacting. So I saw somebody from the Iowa Farmers Union who's on this call tonight, for example. And these things, I think we're getting some synergy, hopefully. So now, how are we approaching the Iowa House? Well, I want you to understand a little bit that Iowa's House districts. There are 100 of them and a population of 3.2 million or so. So there are 32,000 in population. These are small districts. And that has a number of sort of ramifications. But it means that a lot of them are walkable. There are a lot of knockable doors, and that candidates can really reach out on a one-on-one or on a personable basis. But these are also low-resourced campaigns, especially the ones we're talking about. If I'm not mistaken, at the most, only one of these 12 campaigns even has a paid campaign manager. Just to give you an idea about that. I see Matt smiling, so I think that may be true. But they have volunteers, so they have a lot of things. What we do have going for us is a really great group of what I'll say homegrown, authentic, hardworking candidates. And the most important thing is and going to be door knocking, and they're doing a lot of that, and we're trying to do the best we can to help them do door knocking. But when we talked to Patrick Reiner about what would be the best thing to try to help these candidates, he and Liz from Iowa, Liz Fleming, they understand this, that actually local social media is something which is like Facebook and Instagram, which you can do so-called organically. You can do that for free, or you can do that very cost effectively, that can be well targeted to the district. That was sort of the next building block that these candidates needed. So that's what we're supporting in this effort. But I will say that the support actually goes through the Iowa House Democrats, which is the House caucus, because we feel that's a more effective, efficient way to do that. So when you donate, just so you know, it's just one donation that goes to all of these folks. So door knocking and local social media. All right, so again, getting to this blue wave idea, and the idea that Lisa was saying that, we same thing in Virginia. We elected more people. We really reached, but we even elected more people in Virginia. So what we've done is to try to select what we call leading edge candidates. And just to go through the math a little bit, there's 100 seats in Iowa. Right now, the Democrats have 33, which is not even a veto-proof minority, actually. They need one more for that. So they need 18 to get to the majority. So if you think about all the candidates kind of lined up like in an array or something like that, there's a sort of a measure of electability. And the ones that are most electable, they typically got the most money, et cetera, et cetera. We sort of call this leading edge because we're reaching out to the point where we think if everything goes right, we could get to 51 seats. So that is our 12, plus there's several that were sort of higher ranked on the electability scale. Plus there's a few that are coming out of with the 12 that we picked did not have primaries. So that made it, but there are going to be a few coming out of the primary that we think we might want to support also. We think that, if you put all those together and everything goes well, it's the potential for a majority with over 50 seats. Now, we know that's aspirational, but it could happen. And even if it doesn't, substantial inroads would really help greatly in any case. And it boosts all these up ballot races, the point that I made at the outset. So here they are in all their glory. And talking today is going to be Heather Sievers up in the upper left, and Matt Morfeld down in the bottom right. We're really grateful for them for what they're doing on our behalf. So, all right. So what we have is a goal of $140,000. We're using this vehicle oath, not Act Blue that you may be used to. It's pretty straightforward to do that. There'll be a donation link in the chat, of course, and we really appreciate that you're if you'll help us and maybe even get us through the 140,000. As of just now, we're just under 100,000. So we've been sort of accumulating money so far, and really like to get us really close to that 140 goal. Because among other things, we'd like to have some money beyond that for these additional candidates. All right. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Matt.
Well, thank you very much. Hope everybody can hear me here. Uh, I'm going to be one of those 18, and I'm not going to Des Moines to be in the minority. So we'll put in the work for you on this end. But before we get real serious, which we're going to, let's have a little fun and talk about our background. I was raised a country boy in Lee County. I'm as far away from Des Moines as you can get. We are in a different climate than Des Moines. Raised on a dairy farm. If you didn't get up at 5:30 in the morning and milk, you're not the same as me. Yeah, that was how I grew up. 3 miles away, I went to a little Catholic school, and it's just the way I grew up. Went to Iowa State, been in the greenhouse business my whole life, successfully sold that a few years ago. Along the way, I have enjoyed some community service. And was Lee County Supervisor for 2 terms. I really enjoyed that. Served as president of the YMCA, president of the chamber. I loved coaching. I loved coaching YMCA swim. That was a fun thing. I am a husband of Beth. I am a father to Jacob. He's running around in the back room somewhere here at the shop. And most recently, I was a 3-term mayor. And I really loved being mayor. That is a great seat to hold. But when I took that, I said I was limiting myself to 3 terms, and I held to that. So that's a little bit about who I am, real quick, and so I'll go through a lot of things. I'm going to talk about our district. People talk about Iowa turning red. If you can see my hand, folks, we did not turn red. We have the same amount of red and blue as we had. The problem is our center shifted right and our left got apathetic. We lost because we weren't going to the polls and sending our people to Des Moines. And what happens then? It's hard to recruit good candidates. So the key for me to win, and I'm going to jump in what I visions for issues, but the key to win is real simple. I have to have the Democrats in our district to vote, and I have to convince that the people in the middle, the no parties, to vote for me. Both are doable. Both are doable. When I was a Lee County supervisor, every office in Lee County was held by a Democrat. That wasn't, well, okay, it was a little while ago, but we can move back. So when I look at that, I want to talk about why I'm running. I have spent my lifetime getting experience and knowledge and giving back. If I'm going to stop now, I think that's a sin. And so looking at the climate, I can't change the world. The United States needs change, but you know what, damn it, I can change our corner. With a lot of backing of good people, we can change this corner. If we can swing the house, we can change a pretty good corner. There's some things we have to take a look at that are deteriorating in Iowa, and there are issues that we talk about. Our education is slipping. We're not horrible, but we're not great. That's what we hang our hat on. We're great. We have too much early mortality in Iowa. We're a healthy, strapping rural state. We should not be talking about people dying at young ages of cancer and heart disease. These are things that communities and government and healthcare institutes can work together to solve. But the current administration is not doing that. We are not doing that. We can do that. And then a big one, folks, that I am hearing, one of the things I love doing is we're having house parties. And that's a neighbor visiting with neighbors, friends visiting with friends in a neighborhood setting. Women are disenfranchised. They feel like their rights are deteriorating and they don't like it. I don't blame them. I think that's legitimate. And so we're hearing that. We're hearing about the challenges of rural health care. It is different here than it is in Des Moines. And we lost our birthing center. And So, is that a government issue? When you create social policy that makes an OBGYN say, I am never coming to Iowa, I'm not going to be put up on murder charges because of what I love to do. Yes, that is part of social policy that we do in Des Moines. And so when I look at some of the issues that we're talking about there, rural Iowa needs to grow back. Iowa grew about 10% in the last 40 years, but Lee County, which is the bulk of my district, has lost 25%. We're being cannibalized by the metro areas. Now, that isn't bad if they aren't cannibalizing us. So we have challenges on the education side they do not have in the Des Moines area. Am I picking on Des Moines? I'm using that as an example. We need to recognize some of the disparity that we have in some of the rural communities. And that's why my campaign is geared around a couple of things. One, we need a stronger voice out of Southeast Iowa to go to Des Moines. That overrides everything I say. And we need to bring a voice there that'll bring some sense to some of these social laws that we're passing. We need to stop some of that. When we put speed bumps in the way of young women getting the HPV vaccination, that's insane. That's a good thing. And yet we complain about cancer and we do nothing to stop it. So how am I approaching this? This is where this comes into play and you wonderful people come into play. My approach is I go to the people. We talk healthcare. I am out there. I'm meeting with the CEO of the hospital. I meet with the community health center, which we're fortunate enough to have. I meet with the Lee County Health Department. I meet with the new hospital that's trying to put a rural emergency hospital in Keokuk. I meet with them. Here's the challenges with that. I meet with superintendents on education. It telegraphs my love of education. Today I met with Stevie from a daycare center. And so the idea is that my branding is also my issues. But here's my challenge. When I talked to Stevie today, I talked to two people. So how do I then telegraph to the masses what I'm doing and make it more viral, more people? So come along with social media. I can take pictures, I can do videos, and now when I'm meeting with that superintendent, which by the way are very receptive to meeting with me to talk about issues, now I can blast it out through the county. I get feedback from my constituents saying, do you ever sleep? You're everywhere. Well, it is getting perceived that way. And some days it is kind of like that. But I've done things through social media that would not touch these people if I couldn't be bigger than myself on a media side. Liz and Patrick, they're wonderful. Since I sit down at this very desk and started talking with them, I've had 100,000 views on my Facebook page since then. Now, does that sound like a lot? Folks, we only got to influence 32,000 people, and all of them don't vote. I got to influence. I need to get elected. I only need 6,500 votes. We've done the math, and so I am touching them, and we're going to keep touching more. We're getting a lot of good tips. So, what am I saying to you? I can't say enough good about Liz and Patrick. This is going to work. It is another tool in the tool chest that goes beyond just door knocking. And when we do door knock and the fella comes to the door and said, Matt, I'd love to talk to you about the election, but I've got stage 4 cancer. I'm not sure I'm going to live till the election. That was a real conversation. Now, I'm not going to put him on Facebook, but I can get on Facebook and talk about that. Cancer mortality is real when you open the door and you hear that. So you make it bigger yourself. So we are doing work that is going to work in Iowa. I can't say enough about that. Topics that we're hearing out there. I do think there's some things that are interesting. And one is in Iowa right now, data centers are really being vilified. They're considered the enemy. I think that's from lack of information in some cases, but that's real. Oddly enough, if you don't know it, we are the highest percentage green energy production state in the union. Uh, but yet, windmills are getting picked on. Why are they getting picked on? Because we have a president that has no clue that coal's a thing of the past and windmills are part of the future, and yet it trickles down to us. And then one last one I'm going to leave you with that is just insane in Iowa is they just passed a three strikes law that is going to incarcerate more people at a huge expense. We do not have runaway crime in Iowa. That is not real. But what we do in Iowa, we incarcerate a lot of people of color, way too many. This three strikes thing is just going to heighten that. That is wrong. These kind of things need unwound. Our budget is a mess. We have a cliff we're going to fall off. Rob Sand has his hands full. Why would anybody in the right mind go to Des Moines to do this? Well, I can help. So there we are. I say that out loud at the town meetings. But anyway, I'm taking a lot of your time. Thank you, thank you, thank you for everything everybody does. I hope that gives you a little glimpse into Southeast Iowa.
Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you for running. Thank you for coming here and talking to us. Really appreciate it. We're going to open this for questions a little bit later, but next we're going to hear from Heather Sievers, who is running in District 40 in Iowa. Heather?
Hi, thank you so much. Yep, Heather Sievers. I live in Altoona, Iowa, just right outside of Des Moines. My district is a lot of where I live, which is great. I'm very involved in the community. I have parts of Ankeny, parts of Des Moines as well. I actually ran in 2024, and I was not planning to get into politics, but this is what I'm kind of noticing is that people are starting to stand up and we're bringing new, fresh voices kind of out of the woodwork to help make Iowa better, but it has an upward effect as well in making sure that our country is reflecting the values that we took years and years to build. So I think there's a lot of people that never thought they would do this that are actually stepping up to do it. And I would consider myself one of those people. I'm a nurse by background. My prior life before nursing was I was in mental health. I really care about healthcare, and I actually have some pretty good legislation that we can do at the state level to help improve healthcare. My daughter was born with really rare disabilities. I think she was meant to be born to me because I used to work with children in therapeutic settings who had behavioral challenges and physical disabilities. So when she came into my life, I knew it was meant to be. But all of our family lives here in Iowa, my husband's and mine. And we were even lost. I didn't know what her diagnosis was. I got a 40-page paper of the little research that they had on the diagnosis. There were only a couple other kids in the state of Iowa that had it. And so we were on this journey. And so I have always loved our public education system. They helped me graduate when I was 16. I went into all of the helping professions that I really wanted to do. And I came back and made sure my child had the opportunities to be in our amazing public education system. We have an organization called the Area Education Agencies here in Iowa. And it's really has been gold standard since the 70s. People go into people's homes. You don't have to travel from the rural communities. They go to you. They help you in your home with physical therapy, occupational. They help get devices to make sure that your kids can catch up and get them into early preschool. And so my daughter had this experience. And then our Republican-led team, I will say, decided to break the system apart. There's a lot of bills that are coming from outside organizations. They're bought and paid for. They're using public dollars to pay for bad bills. And they're really hurting our public services across the state. So they're breaking down our public education system, and they're also breaking down services and protections for our most vulnerable groups across the state. And this is when people started to wake up again. So kind of like what Matt said, people became complacent. They're not complacent anymore. This is why people should pay attention to Iowa, because we can make a difference here and people are waking back up. Everyone is starting to be impacted by this. So I started out kind of as an informal lobbyist. We built a group of almost 6,000 people across the state of Iowa that were lobbying and helping build education and knowledge about bad policy and what we needed to do. And in 24, they continue to do some things that continue to pass regardless of what the community was asking for. And that's when I put my name on the ballot. And so I ran a very hard race. I'm in a very competitive district with someone who has been the incumbent for a couple of terms. He pretends to be a moderate person that is actually more on the Christian nationalist side. And we're going to get him this year. We came in with just above 1% of taking that seat in the Trump red wave. And I've been out knocking doors since I lost my last race. I have not stopped. I have continued to be involved in the community. This is not a joke to me. This is something that I understand change takes time. And I see all of these amazing candidates stepping up and putting their lives on hold to really help improve Iowa and help support the values and reinstill the values that our country holds dear. And so in Iowa, as a nurse, I've been in the hospital systems for a really long time. I'm also a union family. My husband has worked in construction. So obviously we're not a very wealthy family. We have to make a lot of hard decisions a lot. I left hospital healthcare because of what I listened to at the doors, and because my corporate company was telling me that I couldn't support unions anymore in my race. So that would include all unions, including our education system, all of those. So I left that profession and found a company that I can work with that actually helps seniors across our state. So people who are struggling with disabilities, low income. I've helped people who are starving tap into programs. And the more I've actually got into this space, working with seniors across our community, our services are breaking down. People are not getting help when they need it. You can't even get a walker. Our insurance companies are extremely corrupt. And my job has become helping navigate the health system. And this happened because I ran for office, because I listened to the community. I'm trying to live my life through action. And so it wasn't even a question whether I was going to run again. And I truly believe that we can take this seat. So one of the things that has been extremely helpful is I was actually going to get off social media before I ran for office. I felt like I needed a break. I'm not the greatest at it. I've tried to learn, but this program has actually been so critical because what they are doing is helping teach us how to reach voters at a higher level. And we have to do that. No matter how many doors we knock, which is where I think we will win our races, is by the commitment of time at the doors. This program is actually helping us become more efficient at reaching people we won't have the opportunity to personally talk to. So I really appreciate this program. I appreciate you all caring about us and caring about the commitment to helping restore democracy. This really is a national issue. Our women's health care is going away. Our hospitals are closing. Our veterans don't have care in time anymore. They've lost 8,000 doctors from the VA already. All our programs are shutting down. If we don't make major changes and work to flip every possible seat back blue, our country is going to have a harder and harder hill to climb back up. And in Iowa, when we face these types of economic downfalls, it takes us even longer to recover because we are such a rural area. We just have a lot of work to do. And we can do it. And I appreciate all of you being part of this journey to help people across the United States and in Iowa. I know that we can flip seats. I strongly believe it. And helping support programs that help teach us how to reach more people and expand our digital reach could be the difference between a race that we win or lose. And I don't think any of us are planning to lose our races this time. So we can rebuild services, we can rebuild democracy. And I just really appreciate the opportunity to talk with every single one of you tonight. And it is my birthday, so thank you for spending it with me. Thank you.
Birthday.
Happy birthday, Heather. Thank you for everything you're doing. It's quite amazing. And really, thank you for taking the time tonight. So before we open it for questions and answers, I'm going to turn the mic over to Ann White, who's on our leadership team. She was one of the original 31st Streeters in my living room when just a few people showed up. Jan was there, so she has been with us every step of the way. Jan?
So when I was asked to speak tonight about why I think it's important to donate to these Iowa elections, I wanted to speak, but I realized that thinking about it scared me. And that's because my reason to give is that there are so many bad things happening in our country, and the last two speakers have been very eloquent about talking about this in their own districts. And it's painful to think about all of these bad things happening. And you know these things as well as I do. Children and their families losing health care, farmers in Iowa losing their livelihood, foreclosures of farms happening, cancer patients losing clinical trials and research, immigrants snatched and jailed with no right to defend themselves. And this is just naming a few. And so for me, fighting back makes me feel better. I can do something about this. And what's presented tonight in this fundraiser is an opportunity to fight back and to do something. Because 31st Street has done the research, which Jim has told you about, but to choose a state that makes a difference, Iowa, and to choose local races where small amounts of money make a difference for the local candidates and for the Democratic candidates higher on the ticket. So this is our opportunity to fight back and make a difference. So after thinking carefully, really carefully, and telling my CPA this morning too, I have to say, I am stretching and giving $3,000 to the Iowa candidates, more than I have ever given. And I know that everyone's circumstances are different, but I hope you will think about what you can give and join me in giving what you can. And now I want to close. I can't miss this opportunity. I have to quote the boss from one of Bruce Springsteen's moving speeches at his recent DC concert. And I wish I could do it the way he did it. But when you go home tonight, hold your loved ones close, and in the morning, do as Renee Good did. Find a way to take aggressive, peaceful action to defend our country's ideals, and do as the great civil rights leader John Lewis said, go out and get in some good trouble. Say something, do something, give something, sing something. That's all right if we're feeling helpless, hopeless, frustrated, betrayed, angry. I understand. That's why we're here tonight. We needed to feel your strength and your hope and your faith. And we needed to bring you some strength and to bring you some hope and to bring you some faith. I hope we've done that tonight. So God bless Alex Preddy. God bless Renee Good. God bless you, and God bless America.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. Thank you. That was wonderful. Oh boy. So now I'm going to turn it over to Aaron Hamburger. He is our membership chair, and he also is the person that runs the questions and answers.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Jan, for that incredibly inspiring message. And thank you to our candidates for being with us tonight and for running. It's not easy being in the public arena these days. So we really appreciate that you're carrying the torch forward. You're doing the work for us, and we're here to support you. So thank you so much. All right, so we have a few questions, and I'm going to start off, and maybe this one, Matt and Heather, you both can talk about this. It's related to healthcare. So a couple of people want to know, how do Iowa voters think about the MAHA movement, the closing of hospitals, all of these sort of national policies that Trump and his administration are enacting? Are you hearing from voters that they are connecting those kind of national issues with healthcare locally, and even problems in the economy? For example, closing hospitals could lead to economic problems locally. So maybe Matt, you want to go first, and then Heather?
Yeah, this is an interesting one because when the group of people on this call, we look very philosophically at some of these healthcare issues. But when you talk to people, your friends, your neighbors, the people's at the door, they talk about what impacts them in real life. They don't talk about the hospital closure. They talk about, I can't get transportation to Iowa City for dental care. I can't get this. I've got to wait 6 months before I can get a follow-up because I have an elevated PSA. So they're seeing the very downstream side of it. So it's up to us as elected officials, and Heather's going to have a very loud voice in this one, that we have to take that and then turn that back into the system side. In my end, it's just flat out, we don't have enough access to it. We have people dying because they're just not getting colonoscopies. They're not going to dermatologists. It's very real on the doors, but we got to remember, uh, it is our job to let them know for change, we have to change. And they've got to start voting where that really impacts them. So that's what I'm hearing. Heather?
Yeah, I could talk your ear off all night on this. Healthcare is like one of my main areas. I've been in it in all settings, all areas. People don't really fully understand the impacts yet because it hasn't been fully realized. The one area where people are really feeling it, are talking about it, has to do with women's health. And so historically, when hospitals start struggling, regardless of the horrible bills that are coming out against women's healthcare right now, if a hospital is struggling, the first thing they do is shut down maternal care. The second thing they do is then close pediatric care. People are not able to get care. Our NICU or our baby ICU is overflowing. There's 4 floors now with sick babies because the moms haven't had any prenatal care access in the state of Iowa. This matters to women regardless of party. But the repercussions of what's about to happen, we're already losing jobs. Hospitals are cutting people. Clinics are closing. Hospitals will close. Right now, we have a lot of clinics closing, but our hospitals will close in some of our rural areas and people won't have access to care and they will get really sick because they aren't receiving that. And so this has been one of the things that I've been so grateful for in my new job is I take that off their plate. I find what they need to do. I figure out what our transportation services need to be to get them where they need to go. It's just so overwhelming, the health system. The other big thing too is with Medicaid cuts. So this is going to be interesting for a lot of people. So even though Trump wanted to put in work requirements for people, which our government has failed to implement well in other states, our state governor, goodbye. I'm so glad this is her last year, but she actually decided I'm going to be the guinea pig and I'm going to try to push all of Trump's legislation forward in Iowa before he actually implements it himself. So we actually are putting work requirements in. We're cutting Medicare sooner or Medicaid sooner. People don't realize that Medicaid is part of everything. And Medicare doesn't cover anything that you actually need when you get older, like long-term care or things like that. People are going broke from the cost of healthcare in retirement and losing their homes. That's what people are talking to me about, is how do we restore these programs to make sure that healthcare isn't in charge of everything. Doctors are leaving because they're not in control of their care anymore. The insurance companies decided the things that we can do at the state level, implement things that prevent them from requiring prior authorization for every single thing that is medically necessary and force them to drive down denial rates. That would be a really good start. And just so you know, in Iowa, they also passed legislation that allowed them to increase the premium cost because everything is privatized here. Everything. They have worked for 10 years to privatize everything and all of our costs have tripled. So we need to start building a public program just like every other state does across the nation.
Great.
I will end.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Excellent,
No,
Heather.
very, very comprehensive. Okay, Heather, while I have you, I have another question. Maybe you can start off this time, and then Matt, you can follow up. What are farmers saying about immigration policies, especially in light of recent funding for ICE that just passed?
This has been a really big topic of conversation, actually, because a lot of a lot of farmers have said they make it so complicated to actually have people here legally. Most of the time people are legal, but they're having to navigate documents, all these things. It hasn't been as much about it's more about like making it easier to have people come here and work and have good work conditions and things like that. In Iowa, at least. So what they're talking about a lot, though, is that they actually don't have any workers. So crops are dying, all of these different types of things that I think, I'm going to be honest with you, there was a lot of different people across Iowa that said, get the immigrants out. We don't want them here. This was kind of like a message at first, but now they're actually realizing the positive impact of having immigration in our state. And so things have changed. We do have a lot of foreclosures. One of the things that I'm mostly hearing from the farmers too, though, is so we have an older population of farmers here, and there's a huge monopoly over the land. But we have this whole group of young farmers that really want to be food producers and help grow food in Iowa. And it could generate $12.6 billion a year in Iowa in local jobs and revenue, just by figuring out how to support food banks, get food in schools that we grow, and make things healthier here. That's actually what I'm hearing. The Iowa Farmers Union, who I try to spend as much time as I can with, they have really focused a lot on trying to help support hub development and building up food production here so we can support the social programs that we need to make sure people are fed and reduce the cost of food while building the economy. That's really more of what people are talking about. We're not a super diverse community compared to a lot of different places, to be honest. And so this has been more of the focus is restoring the future of farming and making it something that can grow Iowa.
Matt, what do you think?
Well, just like Heather was your medical person, this is my wheelhouse. I spent my life in the greenhouse business, wholesale bedding plant. So I'm the other farmer in Iowa. The last 10 years, we've embraced the H2A program. And the last year before I sold, we brought up 24 people from Mexico, from different regions in Mexico, to work in the greenhouses. Seasonal laborers, quality seasonal laborers are tough in our market. And this was the difference between 10 years ago, me quitting and me continuing a successful business. Immigration is so broken. We have no pathway. First of all, there is no open border. I don't know where this mantra comes from. Our problem is not the people that want to come here and work. Our problem is we're not giving them an opportunity to become citizens. Look around here. Are any of us Native Americans? That got a little philosophical. I'm sorry. But anyway, we need a gateway. Can Iowa change much of that? We can be a voice in that, but the H-2A program, which is the biggest visa program in the United States, and they're the ones that get coined as the lettuce pickers, and it's so much more than that. The ag business, ChemGrow out there, they bring in people from South Africa to help because they can't get seasonal people. Ours are transplanters and workers in the greenhouse. I have friends that cross town that bring them in their hog operations. Up at New London, they're using them in dairy farms. These are real. And these are great people. And to give you an idea of what that world is like to them, Chewy works roughly our starting wage is about $20 an hour. And when he goes back home in the tomato greenhouse, he makes $11 a day. So this is something he does for his family. We make it hard. That thing is so bureaucratically heavy. We got audited by the Department of Labor one year. My office manager, Kim, she cried every day for 3 weeks. It is crazy. So what is my point to all this? Immigration reform needs to quit being political and start being human. There are little changes we can make that would make huge differences. And that is something that's got to start being real. It's not going to happen under the Republican reign, but it does need to be addressed.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think we need to focus on policy that takes care of people who are coming to do those jobs, because that's been the other big thing that people have talked about is like, we need to make sure we have good work conditions for people that come to work here as well.
And Iowa's actually not too bad in that arena. as far as our housing standards are fairly good, and so that's not bad. But these people, they're contributing members. That's what I guess I'm trying to say.
Mm. Matt, while I have you, I have another question for you, and then Heather, also you can chime in. And this may be our last one before we get to the formal close of our program. Can you tell us a little bit about your opponent? Who are you running against? What are their positions? Where are they coming from?
Uh,
Yeah.
Great question. I'm running against a 24-year-old young man that lives in his parents' basement. A nice young man. That was philosophical, but he does live at home. Has never had a real job, and he's a nice young man. My race is pitting experience against youth, and so. How is he classified by the House? He's a lever. He's going to flip the lever. He voted party lines religiously. Uh, he has a picture of Donald Trump on his in Des Moines and on his desk. He wears a nice suit and tie. He looks an interesting part. Uh, you know, is he going to thrive in that environment? Yes. Is he less comfortable at the county fair? Yes, he is. And so it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, he is incumbent, and that does give him some horsepower. His name is on the ballot before, but it was a special election. And so his name wasn't flipped by as many people. My name's been on the ballot several times too. So, so when we look at that, it's an interesting pair up. That's kind of where I am with that.
Great. Heather, how about you?
Yeah, so my opponent is, like I said earlier, a kind of extreme right Christian nationalist that pretends to be a moderate. He focuses on things like pro-education, targeting cancer, focusing on water quality, which is another huge issue here in Iowa. He skips out on, since he's been in office for his for his 4 sessions, he has skipped out of 400 votes. He does not do his job, number one, which is the biggest problem that I have. But he comes forward with a lot of things. He's very anti-abortion. He wants a complete ban across the state. He really supports the private voucher program that is just breaking down our public education system. He actually has been one of the main lobbyists for Homeschool Iowa here, which is to try to expand the private voucher program to homeschools and to people providing homeschool education, while also his legislation has been to completely eliminate all requirements for quality of education. Even his bill had things in it that said you can't question a homeschool high school diploma. They have to be accepted in any institution. They're not required to follow any of the same rules to make sure that kids are getting quality education. I mean, this guy's nuts. So he won't come and debate with me. He's very minimal in the public area. So I think we can take him out. People really don't care for him. Even a lot of the Republicans in our local city councils don't care for him. He doesn't show up for the community. So it's time for him to go.
Great, great. Well, we hope you do that. So two things. First of all, I understand that another of the candidates on our slate, Tom Walton, is actually with us tonight. Tom, we're going to invite you in a second just to say hello to the crowd, if you would. But before we do that, let's give a big hand to Matt and Heather for representing the slate so ably tonight. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who's been donating. It's amazing how much progress we have made. We are so close to our goal. Oh, we've got Brittany. Okay. So any of our candidates from our slate, if you are around, this is actually a great time for you to say hello to the crowd. And then we'll turn it over to Lisa for a little bit of after chat. We usually like to end our formal program on time at 8 o'clock, but then we stick around for another 15 minutes just to chat if people have questions. So Tom, if you want to say hi, Brittany, if you want to say hi, please do so at this time.
So I'm not the most interesting boomer, but I'm trying. With social media, we appreciate the support we're getting from 31 Swing Left. I'm learning a lot from Patrick and Liz and all the other candidates, and we appreciate your support and interest. It's very, very important.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for running, Tom.
Thank you. And I understand there's a couple more folks on our slate who are here. Anybody want to say hello?
Yeah.
I'll just say a quick thank you from Indianola, Iowa. Really appreciate you all coming on to support us. I'm a second-time candidate like Heather.
Great. Thank you, Spencer. Oh, Brittany.
Hello. I'm a first-time candidate. No one was running, and we need to flip this seat. I think this would be her third term if she wins. And she doesn't really come out and talk to people. She's really hard to reach. And we need someone in that seat to make better votes for our district. I'm a lifelong resident of Washington County and Johnson County, so real aware of the issues.
Thanks
And thank you all.
Brittany. Thanks for running.
Thank you for running. We are behind you, rooting for you. Awesome. Okay, Lisa, you want to take it away?
Yeah, well, just a final thank you to everybody. We've raised a lot of money. 31st Street has a history of sending out our pleas to our members, and people just respond. And we are so grateful because we only exist because of you. So thanks for coming. As Aaron said, we'll stick around for a few minutes if anybody has any other comments or questions, just wants to say hello. But this is the end of our formal program, and we really appreciate your being here. So good afternoon, good night, wherever you are.